What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Talkin Sports with Jake. We got another great show for you guys. Hope you all had a nice Thanksgiving. We got a lot to cover. Start with some MLB Free Agency. We got Mike Clevenger going to the Chicago White Sox. He got a one-year deal worth about $8 million. He had an okay year last year in San Diego, 4.3 ERA. He had some injuries. Has had a lot of injuries the last few years, including Tommy John surgery. When he was at the top of this game in Cleveland a few years back, he was a beast, one of the league's best starting pitchers. I think he's a guy who could definitely improve off of last year's performance if he's able to stay healthy. He goes to the White Sox, who were trying to improve off of a disappointing year last year when he finishes 500 despite some very large expectations. Just made a manager change, bringing in Pedro Grifo. They had Mike Clevenger. Los Angeles Angels make a trade. Hunter Renfroe goes to the Angels. They give up a couple of prospects. They give a couple of prospects to Milwaukee. Very good move for the Angels. He's a really good player. He's only going to hit about 230, probably 240 every year. He's not going to hit for a ton of average, but he's a guy that can give you 30 homers, 80 or 90 RBI, decent outfielder. People are joking he's Mike Trout's doppelganger. He kind of looks like Mike Trout, but he's a very good addition to their lineup. Angels trying to get Mike Trout some out. You add Tyler Anderson to your rotation. They add Hunter Renfroe to your lineup. They're trying their best. We'll see what happens. Pittsburgh Pirates on Carl Santana, 1 year, $6.7 million. He's a guy who's older, a little past his prime. He's going to hit for even less average than Renfroe. He's only going to hit probably maybe 220, 230, but he can give you 20 plus home runs. He can still play first base to an extent. Pirates, have had a bit of a revolving door at first base the last couple of years. Ever since they gave away Josh Bell. So, they're trying to improve by, you bring in G-Man Choi in a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays. Guy was a great defender, and he's a decent hitter. And now you bring in Santana, who can give you 20, 25 homers, and can still play first to an extent. You got Jose Abreu got a big contract. He goes to the Houston Astros. Obviously he defected from Cuba, was MVP in the pandemic year in 2020. He goes to Cuba. He's from Cuba. He signed a 3 year, $60 million deal with the Astros. Got a big contract to join the Houston Astros, who make an already dangerous lineup even better. Probably means Yui Gurriel isn't coming back, but Jose Abreu is an upgrade at first base. Big addition. Big move by the Houston Astros. It was team that's coming off a World Series win gets even better. Yeah, the Dodgers non-tendered Cody Bellinger, who was MVP 3 years ago, had an incredible year. Over the last 3 years, he has hit just 203. He has really struggled at the plate. He's only hit 203 over the last 3 years since his MVP year. But he is a great outfielder. He can also play first base. If he ever finds himself, at one point, he was one of the league's best players. A few years ago, was arguably a top 5 player in the game. But he was just not worth, I think it was I think he was due like 17 or 18 plus $1 million. That was just not worth it. Dodgers are also trying to make a big move, trying to see if they can re-sign Trey Turner. If they can't bring him back, they're going to want to probably replace him with a guy like Alexander Bogaerts and Dansby Swanson. They met with Justin Verlander, who's coming off a American League signing award yesterday. They would, want him, of course, on a short-term deal because he's, 37, 38 years old. He's pushing 40, but on a very high AAV. So they're interested in him. They met with him. Aaron Judge, of course, the top free agent on the market. Yankees outfielder met with the Giants. Giants said the meeting went really well. They actually connected him with Stephen Curry. Of course, Stephen Curry is the Golden State Warriors star player, and the Warriors playing in San Francisco. And also, Stephen Curry also is a big Red Sox fan. Of course, he hates the Yankees. As for Jacob deGrom goes, supposedly the Mets are focused on him now. There was rumors he might be going to the Texas Rangers, so it appeared that their focus was Justin Verlander. They met with Verlander. Supposedly the meeting went well, but now with the Texas Rangers, be a little more interested in Carlos Rodon. And then now you got the Texas Rangers. Apparently they're more confident in signing Rodon or Verlander than deGrom. You got the Dodgers, who could be a candidate to sign deGrom. They appear to be a little more interested in Verlander. The Atlanta Braves, they're not expected to sign deGrom. They don't want to pay him, they want to pay one player as much money as deGrom would get. They want to, keep building the way they are. And probably DeGrom said that he would prefer to stay with the Mets if the contract offers are similar. So it appears, contrary to what we heard a week or two ago, it looked like he was leaning towards leaving, maybe going to Texas. It looks like he's going to stay right now as a Mets. I hope they bring him back when healthy. He's the league's best pitcher. But that looks like what it is right now. That Mets are focused on him, so they appear to have that under control, but we will see what happens. On to hockey. Scores from last night. We had the Lightning over the Sabres 6-5 in overtime. Lightning starting to get their groove back after a slow start this year. Knights over the Blue Jackets 3-2 in a shootout. Golden Knights are playing great. 17-6-1 here, one of the league's best teams. Maple Leafs over the Red Wings 4-2 after a slow start. Maple Leafs are finding themselves. Devils over the Rangers 5-3. Okay, two things about that. One, as a Ranger fan, they got to get going. They're 10-9-4. They're playing way too mediocre. This team has way too much talent to be a point out of the playoffs. It's very, very early. They have only played 23 games. There are still almost 60 games left. There is plenty of time. Just because they're a point out of the playoffs does not mean they'll finish a point out of the playoffs. This team on paper should easily be a top 4 team in the East. But they gotta get going. This team has so many great players. They are too talented to be a fringe wildcard contender. But kudos to New Jersey Devils. They are 19-4 this year. They are one of the best teams in the league. Offensively, they are relentless. After the Rangers went up 2-0, they scored 4 straight. They have so much young talent on offense. Even with Mackenzie Blackwood out, Vitek Vanecek in goal has held down the fort. Lindy Ruff has turned his team around. It appears they have arrived. Stars over the Blues 4-1, and Oilers over the Panthers 4-3 in overtime. Let's take a look at the standings for hockey. I haven't really done a standings update yet because it's so early, but we got in the East. You got the Devils actually lead the East right now. The New Jersey Devils are the best team in the NHL right now. They have 38 points. Of course, they had a 14-game win streak recently snapped, but now they've won 3 in a row, so they've won like 17 of 18, something like that. They're 19-4 this year, 38 points. Yeah, Boston's 18-3, and they're just getting a lot of their big guys back. You had Marsha and Charlie McAvoy. McAvoy's like all injured to start the year, just starting to get their guys back. They're rolling. Maple Leafs are 3rd. At 33 points. New York Islanders are 4th. Of course, I hate the Islanders arrangement, but they're playing very well. They're 15-8 right now. E.S. Sorokin might be the best goalie in the NHL right now. They've been a lot better offensively. This kid, Noah Dobson, the young defenseman, is turning into a stud before our very eyes. They're playing really well. Lightning are 5th. They're playing a lot better. Carolina is 6th, but both those teams have 27 points. Detroit's in 7th. Detroit Red Wings starting to turn the corner. Pittsburgh Penguins are in 8th. And then it's pretty tight. You got Florida as a point. Florida's another team. Last year, they had the best record in the NHL in the regular season. They're a point out of the playoffs. They haven't looked as good as we thought, especially after picking up Matthew Tkachuk in the trade in the offseason. The Rangers are a point out team. They were in the East Conference Finals last year, and they're a point out. You got Washington. Montreal's been a little better than expected, but not quite in the playoffs. Washington is struggling. 9-11-3. They're struggling. Then you got Buffalo, Philly, Ottawa, who got to a great start. They've really struggled since, and Columbus, who has struggled. Went out and signed Johnny Gaudreau this offseason. They have not played well. In the Western Conference, leading the West is the Vegas Golden Knights, 17-6-1. We knew they had a great team. We didn't know if the goaltending would hold up with Robin Lehner missing the entire year that they're starting goalie the last few years. And the goaltending has held up. They're playing really well. Dallas is 2nd at 13-6-4. They're playing really well. The Seattle Kraken are 3rd in the West, 13-5-3. Looking a lot better than last year, where they were a bottom 3 team in the West in their inaugural season. Winnipeg Jets are 4th with 27 points. They look good. LA Kings are 5th with 27 points. Colorado Avalanche, defending champs, are 6th with 25. Edmonton Oilers are 24 points. They're 12-10. They need to get McDavid and Josh Howell some more help. Those are 2 top 5 players in the league easily, if not the top 2 guys in the league. The rest of the team isn't good enough. I like them bringing in Jack Campbell in the offseason, but they need to add some more pieces. Yeah, Minnesota's got that last spot. St. Louis Blues, who got off to a horrendous start. One point where maybe the worst team in the league, are playing a lot better. Back to 500. Same amount of points as the Wild, but Wild have a game in hand. I got Calgary's only a point out. Of course, they lose Matthew Tkachuk, and then they lose. They lost another one of their best players as well. And Johnny Gaudreau leaves in free agency, so they lose arguably their two best player. But in the trade for Tkachuk, you get back Jonathan Huberdeau, who's a great player. You get back Mackenzie Weegar, who's a great D-man. They still have a team that's probably good enough to make the playoffs. We'll see. You got Vancouver's a point out. Nashville's 2 points out. You got San Jose, Arizona, Chicago, and Anaheim. That's the hockey standings. For college basketball, scores from last night, you had number 9 Kansas over Texas Southern at 87-55. And then you had number 11 Arkansas over Troy, 74-61. Those are the only scores. The college ranking, the new rankings came out yesterday. You had Houston is the number 1 team in the world right now. Number 2 is Texas. Number 3 is Virginia. 4 is Arizona. 5 is Purdue, who's looking really good. 6 is Baylor. Creighton's number 7. UConn is ranked 8th. Kansas is now 9th. Indiana's 10th. Arkansas is 11th. Alabama's 12th. Tennessee is 13th. Gonzaga drops to 14th. Auburn's 15th. Illinois is 16th. Duke tumbles all the way down to 17th. North Carolina, who was the top team in the country, and then they lose to Alabama in quadruple overtime. They drop all the way to 18th. Kentucky's 19th. They're usually a lot higher. Michigan State's at 20th. UCLA 21st. Maryland 22nd. Iowa State 23rd. San Diego State 24th. And Ohio State is 25th. So those are your top 25 college basketball rankings. As for the NBA, scores from last night, Sixers over the Hawks, 104-101. Joel Embiid, 30 points, 8 rebounds, 7 assists. He's got to really carry the load now with James Harden and Tyrese Maxey both out. Wizards over the Timberwolves, 142-127. Kristaps Porzingis' big game. He had 41 points. Celtics over the Hornets, 140-105 in a blowout. 22 points, 15 assists for Marcus Smart. Nets over the Magic, 109-102. Kevin Durant, 45.7 rebounds. Raptors over the Cavs, 100-88. Pascal Siakam, 18 points, 11 rebounds. He was on a minute restriction, just coming off an injury that cost him 10 games. Pelicans over the Thunder, 105-101. Zion, 23 points, 8 rebounds, 8 assists. Nuggets over the Rockets, 129-113. Nikola Jokic, 32 points, 12 rebounds, 8 assists, showing why he's the back-to-back MVP. Bulls over the Jazz, 114-107. DeMar DeRozan, 26 points. Markkanen, 32 points, 9 rebounds in a loss. Why Markkanen? He is killing it. He might be the most improved player in the league this year. Could be a first-time All-Star. Suns over the Kings, 122-117. Devin Booker, 44 points, 8 rebounds. He had 6 steals as well. And Pacers come back down 17 to beat the Lakers, 116-115. Tyrese Haliburton, 24 points, 14 assists. They had a buzzer beater in that game. It's funny, Van Dijk Malfren, who might be the Rookie of the Year favorite right now, said before the season that he thinks he's better than everyone, and he said LeBron will have to prove that he's better than me, and now he goes out and beats LeBron. I thought that was pretty funny. Standings, you got the Celtics at the top right now at 17-4. Kudos to Joe Mazzulla. He's doing a good job. Of course, he was thrown into the head coaching role unexpectedly. Milwaukee's second. They're 14-5. Third is Cleveland at 13-8. Slowing down a little bit, still playing very well. Indiana is fourth right now. 12-8 off to a really good start. A very young team. Benedict Malfred is playing really well. They got a good young team playing well. Sixers hanging in there. Got a lot of injuries. They're at 5th. Raptors 6th at 11-9. In the play-ins, you got Washington. You got Atlanta, who's slumping after a hot start. Brooklyn, obviously they're always dealing with stuff. And then Miami, who has not looked right. Starting to play better, but still have not looked like the team we thought. And you got the Bulls, all right. The Bulls, not looking great. They're at 9-11. The Knicks, of course, been very inconsistent at 9-11. Their defense is struggling, which is not like a Tom Thibodeau team. Charlotte has been horrible, 6-15, and the Magic and Pistons, of course, are, as expected, have been very bad. In the West, Phoenix Suns are in first, 14-6. Second is Denver, 13-7. The New Orleans Pelicans are ranked third in the West. At 12-8, they're playing really well. Zion has been healthy for the most part, has played great. Memphis Grizzlies are 12-8. Clippers at 12-9. They're banged up. They just got Kawhi back. He's still getting his groove back. Paul George is out right now. Portland's 11-9, slowing down through a slow start, still playing pretty well. trying to get Dame, trying to see if they can do something before Dame's prime is up, before he requests a trade. Sacramento has played pretty well. They've lost 3 in a row, but they have played a lot better than we thought. 10-9. Golden State playing better. They're finally getting some road wins. They've only got a couple road wins, but still they're only a game over 500. Then you got Utah, who is slowing down to a hot start, still are in the play-ins. They are struggling now. Then you got Minnesota, who has looked off this year. And now we got some breaking news. Karl Anthony Towns, your all-star center, will miss 4 to 6 weeks with a calf strain. Yeah, the Dallas Mavericks are on the outside looking in. Dallas, they actually just signed Kemba Walker last night. So Kemba Walker, veteran guard, joins them. As a Knicks fan who saw him play last year, you're not getting much. He's pretty much washed, but he joins the Dallas Mavericks. Maybe he can be an okay bench scorer. We'll see. Thunder are 2 games out of the play-ins. You have the Lakers. We know that they just can't shoot. LeBron is actually, I think, is the worst 3-point shooter in the league. He is struggling from 3 this year, LeBron. And then the Spurs, we pretty much knew would be bad, and the Houston Rockets, we knew would be bad as well. On to college football scores from last week. You had Mississippi State over number 20 Ole Miss, 24-22. Kudos to Mississippi State quarterback Will Rogers. Before the game, Ole Miss's head coach Lane Kiffin DM'd him on Instagram, asked him if he could get his towel after the game. And Will just said, "I got you." And after the game, he kept his promise, and then they dapped up. It was very cool. Kudos to Will Rogers in that game. Number 16, Florida State over Florida, 45-38. NC State upsets number 17, North Carolina, 30-27. You got 18 UCLA over California, 35-28. Number 19, Tulane over number 24, Cincinnati, 27-24. You got number 23, Texas over Baylor, 38-27. You had Georgia beats Georgia Tech, of course. Georgia's the number 1 team in the world, 37-14. Number 3, Michigan beats number 2, Ohio State in that big rivalry game, 45-23. Michigan, first time they've beaten Ohio State 2 years in a row since 2000. Ohio State's college football playoff hopes take a hit. Number 4, TCU over Iowa State, 62-14. If they can win the Big 12, they'll be in the college football playoff. Texas A&M have a big upset over number 5 LSU, 38-23. LSU will be the first 3-loss team ever to be in the SEC championship, at least first 3-loss team in years and years and years. Number 6 USC over Notre Dame, 38-27. By the way, this kid, Caleb Williams, he should be the Heisman favorite right now, and next year when he comes out, should be number 1 draft pick. This kid's amazing. Number 7 Alabama beats Auburn in the Iron Bowl, 49-27. South Carolina with a huge upset over number 8 Clemson, 31-30. Spencer Rattler played really well, 25-39, 360 yards, 2 scores. Guy who we thought would be the number 1 pick last year, but then played horrible. I got benched for Caleb Williams at Oklahoma. Ended up transferring to South Carolina. Of course, Caleb Williams also transferred to USC. And Rattler's played a lot better. He's looked like a different player. Could he be an option in the draft this year? We'll see. And Clemson's college football playoff hopes look pretty much dead now until they lose to South Carolina. Number 21 Oregon State beats Oregon, 38-34. Oregon blew a 31-10 lead in that game. They're a bunch of chokers, Oregon. That's their loss. They're done. Number 10 Tennessee over Vanderbilt, 56-0. Number 11 Penn State over Michigan State, 35-16. Number 12 Kansas State over Kansas, 47-27. They'll play TCU in the Big 12 championship. They got a chance to knock TCU out of the top 4 if they can beat them. Number 13 Washington over Washington State, 51-33. Number 14 Utah over Colorado, 63-21. Number 22 UCF over South Florida, 46-39. And Kentucky upsets number 25 Louisville, 26-13. College football playoff is getting interesting right now. Georgia should make it no matter what. They should definitely beat LSU. Michigan, I mean, they're playing Purdue in the Big Ten championship because them, Ohio State, and Penn State are all in the same division, so only 1 team from the division can make it. Which personally, I don't think makes a lot of sense. No way Purdue deserves to be in the Big Ten championship over Ohio State. But that's how the ball bounces. Michigan should win the Big Ten. They should get in because they won't have a loss. TCU, if they win the Big 12, they'll get in. If USC wins the Pac-12, they should get in. It means Alhassa will be on the outside looking in. I would think Georgia's in no matter what. Even if you lose to LSU, you probably put them in. Because LSU, if they beat Georgia, will finish as a top 10 team. If that's their only loss, you got to put them in. Not number one seed. Michigan, and if you lose to Purdue, first of all, that's just sad. I don't see how they lose to Purdue, though. If TCU loses to Kansas State, that probably knocks them out. And if USC loses the Pac-12 championship, they're done. It's their second loss. If so, now as long as Ohio State probably gets in, if TCU or USC loses, if they both lose, now that fourth spot probably goes to Alabama. If chaos ensues and you probably give it to Alabama. But we'll see what happens. I got obviously game picks will be tomorrow. As always, I do my football game picks. It's conference championships for college football. It's going to be a lot of fun. And before I move on to the NFL, there's been some college football coaching changes I want to announce. This is not a change, but there was rumors Ole Miss head coach Lane Kiffin might be leaving. He is not. He has signed an 8-year extension with Ole Miss. I heard it's around $72 million. So he got a big contract to stay at Ole Miss. Wisconsin has hired Luke Fickell from Cincinnati. I think it's a pretty good hire. Fickell took over a program in Cincinnati that was non-existent. You play in the AA, they play in the AAC, and outside of his first year, he's done a really good job. They win usually 10+ games every year. And they're decent this year. Of course, last year they were the first, non-Power 5 team to make it to the college football playoff last year. We're a top 4 team, and have been ranked most of this year as well. I think it's a good hire. Wisconsin loves their defensive-minded coaches, and that's what he is. So I think he's a good choice. Wisconsin has really struggled the last couple of years. A few years ago, they were a powerhouse in the Big Ten. Last few years have really fallen off. He's trying to bring them back to the promised land. Nebraska brings in Matt Rule. By the way, Rule gets an 8-year deal going to Nebraska. I do think this is a good hire. Yes, he was awful in Carolina, but he is a really good college coach. He took over a program in Temple a while back that was awful. He made them relevant. It was in 3 years. He took over a program in Baylor that had fallen apart, and he made them a powerhouse in the Big 12. They haven't really even been the same since he left. Then it goes to Nebraska, which has been a dumpster fire for a while. Their football program is horrible. Obviously, it is very hard to recruit in Nebraska just because no one wants to play football in Nebraska. No one. I don't think anyone is choosing to go to the state of Nebraska. Period. Forget playing football for their crappy football team. So we'll see if he can find a way to recruit guys. I mean, Matt Rule is definitely a name because the guy who's turned around 2 college programs in Temple and Baylor. That's what attracted him to the NFL. But I do think that's a good hire. He's a really good college coach. And then Hugh Freeze, the coach at Liberty, goes to Auburn. That's an interesting one. He did a good job at Liberty. Obviously, his quarterback for a couple years was Malik Willis, who of course was just drafted by the Titans. He'll probably be starting for the Titans next year when Ryan Tannehill probably leaves for agency. That's why they drafted Willis to sit behind Tannehill for a year. He's done a good job. Hugh Freeze has also got into some trouble with some shady recruiting. That being said, a lot of guys have. Everyone does it. Everyone's paying players. If he was the only one, I would say not a good hire, but he's far from alone. He's going from Liberty, who plays in God knows what conference, to Auburn, who plays in the SEC, and the SEC obviously is the best conference in all of college football. They run college football. You got Alabama, of course, is always one of the best teams. This year they're 10-2, and that's considered a bad year for them. You got Georgia, who's always really good. Georgia might win their second straight national championship. You got Tennessee all of a sudden is really good. LSU is always good. So the SEC is loaded. You got Florida, who usually these last couple of years have struggled. Usually they're at least decent. Not as good as they once were, but usually are decent. They've had a bit of a drop these last couple of years. SEC is brutal. They're right now they're probably at best probably what the 5th best team, if that. It's their 3rd head coach in 4 years. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. Auburn's had a lot of trouble lately, but he did a good job at Liberty, so we'll see. I was a little more higher on Luke Fickell going to Wisconsin and Matt Rhule going to Nebraska than Hugh Freeze going to Auburn, but it's not a bad hire by any means. I don't think it's a home run. I think Luke Fickell's Wisconsin. I think Luke Fickell's a perfect fit in Wisconsin. I love Matt Rhule going to Nebraska because I truly do think he's an elite college coach. Obviously, didn't work in the NFL, but he is a great college coach. If he's Auburn, we'll have to wait and see. Moving on to NFL games from last week. On Thanksgiving, you had the morning game. Well, not morning, but the first game at 12:30. Bills beat the Lions 28-25. Lions got game-time field goal with 23 seconds left. But that was Josh Allen still had enough time to go down the field. He threw a dart to Stephon Diggs for about 35 yards, and 2 design runs later. So Tyler Bass game-winning field goal. Tyler Bass redeemed himself after he had missed an extra point earlier in the 4th quarter. But Dan Campbell, this dude is not a good coach. There's like a minute and 20 left. Like, Goff throws a pass, guy catches it, inbounds, first down. He's still not in field goal range, down by a field goal. There's a minute and 20 left. He waits till $1.06 to call timeout. Like, why'd you waste those 14 seconds? Then, like a play or two later, Lions get another catch inbounds. They're still very close to field goal range, but not quite in range from Mike Badgley, their kicker. About 53 seconds was when they went down. He doesn't call them out until like 40 seconds left. He wastes like another 12 or 13 seconds. The dude lost like 30 seconds because he wouldn't call it. He had 3 timeouts. I don't understand. He's not a good coach. Okay, look, he's a great guy. He's really funny. He had success as a tight ends coach before going to Detroit. I think that's a role I would love to have him in, maybe as an assistant coach. But he is not an NFL head coach. He just isn't. Bills go to 8-3. Lions drop to 4-7. Cowboys over the Giants 28-20. Dak Prescott, who struggled in the first half, threw 2 picks. A lot better in the second half. Had 2 touchdowns against no picks. Daniel Jones, he's not that good. He just isn't. If you give him an elite offensive line and like 2 or 3 really good receivers, he can game manage. But he's not that good. Giants should not resign him after the year. He finally has a good team around him. The offensive line's a lot better. The defense is pretty good. They got a great coaching staff led by Brian Daboll. I know they got so many receivers out, but he just does not fit this team. Dallas goes to 8-3. Giants up to 7-4. The Giants are struggling a little bit through a hot start. Vikings over the Patriots 33-26. Vikings going 9-2. Kirk Cousins finally played well in primetime. He played a great game. Justin Jefferson had 139 yards. That dude is amazing. Probably the best receiver in the league. That dude is nuts. Mac Jones did play well at 382 yards in that game and a couple of touchdowns. Patriots last place in the AFC East, but are 6-5 and are still only a game out of the playoffs. And they have a tiebreaker over the Jets, who are a game ahead of them right now. So they're still very much alive. Of course, you have the controversial call in that game. I thought it was a touchdown, but not the reason the Patriots lost. Sorry, Patriots fans. You had the referees helping out for 20 years anyway with Bray. So stop crying about the referees, please. Panthers over the Broncos, 23-10. Sam Darnold started that game. Actually played okay. He only threw the ball 19 times because they ran the ball so much, probably because they don't trust Sam Darnold with their life, and I don't blame them. Russell Wilson, he was horrible. They might need to bench this guy's one. He's been so bad. Now you got the D lineman on Denver, Mike Purcell, yelling at him. He's just pissed. Nathaniel Hackett better get fired. That dude is awful. The Broncos were a dumpster fire, 3-8, and they are 3-8. They don't have their own pick. They have Miami's pick at the Bradley Chubb trade. But Seattle has their pick. Seattle's going to have a top 5 pick, and they might end up in the playoffs. Browns over the Buccaneers, 23-17 in overtime. Brissett's last game before Deshaun Watson comes back. David Njoku had that crazy catch late in that game. So, that NFC South is yikes. That division is bad. Browns get to 4-7. Bucs are 5-6. They're in first place. That division is really bad. Jaguars over the Ravens, 28-27. I've been very critical of Doug Peterson, but great move going for 2. Kudos to him for for having some balls. Trevor Lawrence played really well. He's starting to look like the guy that was drafted last year, #1 overall, very highly touted prospect. Another coach who I criticized in the beginning of the year, who I've kind of laid off with, is going to get some more criticism. John Harbaugh. Can you hold the lead? You blew a 3-touchdown fourth quarter against Miami. Then you blew a 20-3 halftime against Buffalo. Then you blew a 10-point lead against the Giants with 6 minutes left. Now you blew a 9-point lead against Jacksonville sucks with 6 minutes left. They should be 11-0. They're 7-4. Something's wrong there. By the way, do not give Lamar Jackson $50 million. If you want to give him 35 to 40, fine. Do not make him the highest paid player in the league. Do not. He's a really good quarterback, but he is not as good as, the guys getting all these bags like Mahomes and Allen, what Herbert's going to get, what Burrow's going to get. He is not as good as those guys. He just isn't. I'm sorry. That's just the truth. Dolphins over the Texans 30-15. Dolphins are actually at 30-0 at one point. They've eventually in the fourth quarter took out Tua because there was no reason. Dolphins go to 8-3, remain first in the AFC East. Texans are 1-9-1. Worst team in the league. They gotta be tanking. That team is so bad. Jets over the Bears 31-10. By the way, Mike White played great. Zach Wilson is garbage, by the way. I am still over that loss 2 weeks ago against the Patriots. He is garbage. Bust. His career is over. I don't care if Robert Saleh said his career isn't over. It's over. He's done. He's trash. Absolutely pathetic player. He's done. Mike White, I think, is very underrated. I think he's a good quarterback. He played great. Kudos to him. They rolled through the Bears 31-10. They get to 7-4. Bears up to 3-9. Obviously, you had your backup quarterbacking with Fields out with a shoulder injury. Simeon got through a good start after that. Struggled. I mean, it's the Bears. They got nothing over there. Just Austin Fields always looks so depressed, and I don't blame him. He's probably like, why am I here? I don't blame him. But it was good to see Elijah Moore and Gary Wilson producing with an actual good quarterback. Bengals over the Titans 20-16. Both teams are now 7-4. Bengals are now tied for first in the North. Ravens beat them, so Ravens technically still in first. But the Bengals probably getting Jamar Chase back next week. Their star receiver. That's going to be big. Because they're starting to find their stride. Commanders over the Falcons 19-13. Commanders have won 6 of 7. They're best team in the league over the last 7 weeks. 7-5. Right now we're in the playoffs. Falcons are up to 5-7. Chargers over the Cardinals 25-24. Brandon Staley, who I've been very critical of. Kudos to him for going for 2 and going for the win. It worked. Ballsy move by him. Kyler Murray, I mean, I've been very critical of him, but get Cliff Kingsbury out of there. He might be stuck with him because they give him a long-term deal. But at this point, I think you gotta get rid of him. The guy is not a good coach. He didn't deserve a job in the first place. Gets fired at Texas Tech. Team wasn't good. He had Pat Mahomes as college quarterback. The team wasn't even good. Why did he deserve a head coach job in the first place? The dude is not good. Get him out of there and give Kyler a try with somebody else, another coach. And if it doesn't work out, all right, Kyler maybe it's just trash. He's definitely overrated so far from what he's done in the NFL. But Kingsbury's got to go. He's not good. Chargers go with 6-5. Of course, they have a lot of injuries. They're trying to stay afloat in the AFC playoff picture. Raiders over the Seahawks 40-34 in overtime. They get to 4-7. Seahawks trip to 6-5. Josh Jacobs had 303 yards in that game. On the 86-yard touchdown run to win in overtime. Most people couldn't see because CBS went to 60 minutes in the middle of the play. How do you even do that? But Raiders pick up a win. Devontae Adams had a big game. Had a big, crazy catch late in that game. Chiefs over the Rams 26-10. I mean, the Rams are starting Bryce Perkins for crying out loud. What do you expect? They got so many injuries. Their team's awful. 3-8. Wow. Chiefs go 9-2. Best team in the AFC. 49ers over the Saints 13-0. The 49ers team is so freaking good. They got to be top 5 in the league. They lose a lot. Elijah Mitchell for 6 to 8 weeks. Thankfully, they have a guy like Christian McCaffrey on our team. And they have good depth. Saints continue to struggle. They're 4-8. The Eagles over the Packers 40-33 on Sunday Football. Eagles had 363 rushing yards. The most in the games in like 70 years. I think it's like 1938 or something. Or 48 or something crazy like that. Packers defense was awful. Jalen Hurts played really well. Aaron Rodgers got hurt. Jordan Love came in and played really well. 64-yard touch on the Christian Watson on his First play about Christian Watson turning into a really good guarantee right before our eyes, which leaves me with a very bold take. Jordan Love should start for the Packers for the rest of the season. Hear me out. Packers are 4-8. Their head coach LaFleur is lost. Their defense is underperforming. They got defensive coordinator Joe Barry should be on the hot seat. Their O-line is terrible. Their receivers are very, very young and very inexperienced. There is not a good group. This team is not good. They're 4-8. They're cooked. They're done. They're not going anywhere. Rodgers is not the same player anymore. I'm much I would say wash. I think if you give him some pieces, he could still be a decent quarterback. But he is nowhere near what he once was. He's right now might be the highest paid player in the league. Might be getting traded this offseason. Probably should get traded this offseason if you're the Packers. Let's see what the kid's got, okay? Yes, it was not a good draft. It was not good to draft him when Aaron Rodgers still was one of the league's best quarterbacks. Of course, he goes on to win MVPs each of the last 2 seasons. It was not a good idea. You know, I did not love him coming out of Utah State. Last year, but 2 games he played last year, he did not look very good. But he looked good last night. Give this kid a chance. What are you going to do? Wait till you're officially eliminated with 2 weeks to go? Give the kid 2 games with a poor O-line, not very good weapons, and not a good defense, a coach who might be getting fired? Like, give the kid 5 games. See what he's got. If he goes out there and plays well, all right, you can feel confident starting him next year. Now you can trade Rodgers. If not, then all right, Love's on it. You might as well cut him. You might as well, it's meaningless at this point. And Rodgers, you can either decide, all right, do you try to get him some more pieces, maybe get a new coach, or do you just start over and trade him as well and get rid of both for the quarterbacks? But give the kid a chance. Give him a chance at this point. Monday Night Football, Steelers over the Colts, 24-17. What on earth was that clock management from Jeff Saturday? That was awful. Absolutely awful. So a minute 40 to go. Inbounds. He just lets time go off. They rush up to ball. He lets time go off. They don't snap it to like a minute 20 left. Then they do another play. And then, Matt Ryan, first of all, Ryan gets sacked, doesn't call timeout. Like a minute 10, they snap it. Loses like 30 or 40 seconds. Then Ryan runs up the middle for like 15 yards. Still doesn't call a timeout. They don't snap it to like 45 seconds left. Jonathan Taylor runs for like no gain. And he finally calls timeout. Lets more time come off. And calls him off like 30 seconds off. What was that? And he said, oh yeah, I didn't think time was important. So I didn't call timeouts. You're down by a touchdown with a minute 40 left. To the freaking Steelers, who are terrible. That's not a lot of time to go the whole field and score a touchdown, dude. This dude is clueless. Absolutely clueless. Jim Murphy saying, I'm glad he doesn't have any NFL experience. Dude, you're a clown. What was Jeff Sauber doing? Like, does he think the timeouts carry over? Like, they don't carry over, dude. Like, does ESPN, do you still have a contract of ESPN? And if so, does ESPN give you like a bonus or like a raise if you have at least 2 times, if you become a head coach somehow, and you keep at least 2 year timeouts? Like, what was that? That was the worst clock management I have ever seen, and I've seen some bad coaches coach. Adam Gase was my New York Jets head coach for 2 years. I already talked about Dan Campbell. We talked about Brandon Staley. And the coach in Chargers plays here in a few weeks. You got one coach, Jeff Saturday, who won't use his timeouts. Another guy, Brandon Staley, who thinks he has like 12 timeouts, but he uses them like crazy. Oh, God. But Kenny Pickett, though, looking a lot better. He played pretty well. He's looking a lot better. By the way, Kim McStewar's getting the offensive coordinator. Matt Canada is awful. He has no clue what he is doing. He is trash. He might be the worst coordinator in the league. He is awful. Get him out of there. His play calling is egregious. He is awful. Get him out of there. He is terrible. Now to the NFL standings. AFC East, you got Dolphins in first. Same record as the Bills, but they have a tiebreaker. Jets at 7-4, Patriots 6-5. AFC North, Ravens and Bengals both 7-4, but Ravens beat them, so they have a tiebreaker. Browns and Steelers both 4-7. AFC South, Titans running away with that, 7-4. Colts 4-7-1. Jacksonville 4-7. Texans 1-9-1. They are garbage. Chiefs, of course, they run the AFC right now 9-2. Running line at that. Chargers 6-5. Raiders 4-7. Broncos 3-8. That's in the AFC East, in the AFC West rather. NFC East, Eagles at 10-1, best record in the league. You got the Cowboys at 8-3, Giants 7-4, Commanders 7-5 in the loaded division. NFC North, Vikings at 9-2. They got that on lock. Lions 4-7 in second place. Packers 4-8, Bears 3-9. The Packers would only be a game ahead of the Bears at this point. NFC South, Bucks are Samoa in first at 5-6. You got Atlanta at 5-7. Carolina at 4-8. By the way, Steve Wilks is doing a good job as the interim head coach. I think he should keep a job at this point. New Orleans are also at 4-8. They got so many injuries. 49ers 7-4. They're hitting their stride. Of course, they got so much talent. They should probably come out of the NFC, to be honest. Seattle at 6-5. Arizona's 4-8, and then the Rams at 3-8. But they've been horrible. As for the playoff standings in the AFC, you got the Chiefs right now at the top. They have the 1 seed. The 2 seed is Miami. 3 seed is Tennessee. 4 seed is the Ravens. The three wild cards right now are Baltimore, the Bills, and then I believe the Jets. Actually, no, it's gonna be actually Buffalo, the Jets, and then Cincinnati and Baltimore are tied. In the NFC, number 1 seed is the Eagles, 2 seed is Minnesota Vikings, 3 seed is the Niners, 4 seed is the Bucs at 5-6. That's just sad. The 3 wild cards right now are Dallas, the Giants, and the Commanders. We'll talk about WWE Survivor Series was on Saturday. War Games, going back to the War Games format, it was a great pay-per-view. Triple H, I believe, today was the highest grossing Survivor Series ever. Big success. Started off with the women's 5-on-5 match. The way War Games works, it's in a steel cage. There's 2 rings. It's 5-on-5. 1 wrestler from each team starts the match, and then every 5 minutes or so, a wrestler from each team enters the ring. And the match actually doesn't start till all 10 guys are in the ring, or guys or gals are in the ring. So you can pin a guy 20 times before there's 10 guys, doesn't matter. So it's like a mixture of an elimination chamber, a steel cage match, and an extra ring, and just even more chaos. It's crazy. So what NXT usually does. Now, WWE used to do it, and they got rid of it years ago, and now they brought it back. Thank God, because the Survivor Series was getting really stale. In the women's match, Bianca Belair's team of Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch. They beat Team Damage Control, which is, of course, Damage Control, which is Bayley, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, Nikki Cross, and then they brought along Rhea Ripley. Becky Lynch with a leg drop from the top of the cage to win. You had AJ Styles beat Finn Balor. You know, the OC, which is, of course, AJ Styles' friends Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. You know, they ended up fighting outside the ring with the rest of Judgment Day, Damian Priest, and Dominic Mysterio, and they ended up fighting outside the ring, so it became a one-on-one match. Styles ends up winning. You had Ronda Rousey defends the SmackDown Women's Championship against Shotzi. She wins that match. That was definitely the worst match of the night. I mean, Shotzi's not going to be Ronda. That wasn't going to happen. Triple Threat United States Championship. You had Seth Rollins defending against Austin Theory and Bobby Lashley. Austin Theory wins. He steals back the United States Championship for the second time in his career. We thought when he lost his Money in the Bank to a mid-card and Seth Rollins as the U.S. title, we thought, man, he went from the poster boy in events to just another guy under Triple H. Quite the opposite. Triple H, he might be even better under Triple H. He probably figured, let's get the briefcase off him. It doesn't make sense for him to cash in on Roman Reigns. I mean, he's not getting through 4 superstars in the bloodline. For the Usos, Sami Zayn, and Solo Sikoa, then getting through Roman Reigns and then beating Roman Reigns. So I figured let's have him lose the Money in the Bank. It'll be a little, put some comedy in there. Have him lose on a mid-card title like the U.S. title. You know, you have him be a little more serious. Have him, you know, trim his beard. I mean, look a little more serious. You know, he'll stop, with the selfies. Have him, have a little more of an angry personality, and have him be a little more of a badass, and it's working out great. And then you had the men's 5-on-5 match. It was the Bloodline, of course. Roman Reigns, your WWE Universal Champion. The Usos, Solo Sikoa, and Sami Zayn versus Team Brute, which is, of course, the Brawling Brute, Sheamus, Ridge Holland, and Butch. And they brought along Kevin Owens and Drew McIntyre. Of course, you have a storyline of, Kevin Owens talked to Sami Zayn on SmackDown the day before Survivor Series, saying that, you shouldn't wait for Roman to turn on you. You should strike first. Jey Uso heard him talking about it, and Sami Zayn lied to him and said that he wasn't talking to anybody because Jey Uso and Sami Zayn obviously have their issues. Then Jey Uso said, hey, told Roman, this is what happened. Roman said, all right, you focus on the match. I'll worry about this. He brings in Sami Zayn. He's like, well, did you lie to him? He's like, I did because he had a big match coming up. I didn't want to put it on display. Didn't want him to be distracted. And he told Kevin Owens, he said that Kevin Owens said that he should turn the bloodline. He said, but I'm not going to do that. I am true to the bloodline. And Roman said, okay, let's do it. And then, of course, when Kevin Owens was about to win the match, he jumped on top of the referee, stopping his count, and then hit Kevin Owens with a low blow, allowing Jey Uso to hit a 450 splash for the win. And then, of course, they hugged after the match. So we'll see if that beef is over or not. But the Bloodline win the match. That is Survivor Series. That is all I got for you guys today. Until next time, so long, and have a great day.